Audio problems, bad signals, shitty old computers. Today on Panelism, Taylor and I don't really get to record an episode, but here's the chat that happened first.
Red Skull finds it in that house or whatever, wherever that was at the beginning of First Avenger.
You could even back up from there.
What was the note? That's the first time in the MCU, earliest point in the MCU, I should say, that we know it exists, isn't it?
Well, yes, but I guess we see Odin has it in his treasure chest. In like a Thor flashback thing or something?
But is that when Thor was alive? I mean, I guess, okay, fair enough.
I don't know. So anyway, that's, yeah.
There's a possible original Odin possession of it before they got it back again.
Yes.
Then the Red Skull has it, uses it, and then he gets blasted to Vernier, Famir, whatever it is.
Yep.
Then it goes to the bottom of the ocean.
Yep.
Then it is rediscovered by Marvel to power all her shit.
Nope.
Oh.
It's I guess it's dredged up with maybe it's not with Captain America, but it's Tony Stark is the one that gets it.
Tony Stark, you mean Howard Stark?
Sorry. Howard Stark. Yeah.
Howard Stark gets it. So at some point it passes from him to Marvel, or she rents it out so she can power her warp drive and all that. Right?
This part's going to blow your mind.
Which is what, but the Tesseract is how, so the way I understood Captain Marvel was the Tesseract powered the warp drive then powered Carol. So Carol's powers are almost directly tied to the Tesseract itself. Yes?
This timeline explanation wasn't dealing with that exactly. But the part that like clicked it all for me was so how Howard Stark founded this. He was using it for his own research, I guess.
Yeah.
And then he founded a lab with Lawson that became Project Pegasus.
Okay.
So in the first Avengers, when we see the Tesseract in that lab that gets blown up, that is the same lab where Carol Danvers and Fury are running, like looking through those old files.
Is it really?
That's the same location. That's Project Pegasus's secret base.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So the big underground building bunker thing that Loki implodes essentially.
Yeah.
Is that same? So that's where Fury and Carol went. Wow.
So basically, once the Flurkin vomited the Tesseract back up, which was a post credit scene.
Yep, I saw that.
I did not actually stay to see, which I can't believe.
I mean, it's fine.
I just can't believe I got up and left, like knowing what we know.
What bothers me is that some people, they're like, well, when does that scene happen? I'm like, what do you mean, when does that scene happen? It's the same goddamn time that the movie just happened. Like, what do you...
I don't know what I was thinking. But I did get up and I left that. So the Flurkin vomits it in the past. Mm-hmm. Fury then just sort of files it away in the Pegasus. That's when he secures it at the Pegasus facility.
Well, they have it in that, but he reveals it to...
Or I guess maybe, I guess that's Pegasus, whatever. Pegasus
but he puts it in the briefcase because he reveals it to Alexander Sedvig or whatever the hell, Stellan Skarsgård's name. He reveals it to him at the end in one of the post-credit scenes. He's like, that's how he ends up getting the job to work on it. So they had it. So they put it in that briefcase somewhere after it gets vomited up. They file it away. Yeah. And then they put it. So, but I mean, am I misunderstanding Captain Marvel? I thought that the warp drive was powered by, but was heavily based on or powered by the Tesseract. And then,
well, I guess actually the Tesseract wasn't there at the time of the explosion. It's up in the ship that, where
I know, but that's what she used to basically
power it.
Yeah, it wasn't in the warp drive, but it was like she harnessed the power somehow. to then create. But the reason I bring that up is it's strange that Captain Marvel's power is so, it seems like it's either unrelated to the Tesseract or more than it is. Granted, she can, I don't know, I hope they delve more into that. Not that I need all the detail, but it's like, I feel like they're playing a little fast and loose with some of these Infinity Stones, only because as much as Kevin Feige is a showrunner over all this stuff, there is not some holy written Bible that that they're operating out of. They sort of ebb and flow as time goes on.
I don't know. I mean, the crazy timeline I just watched made me think, oh my God, they really are looking at a Bible of like where the Tesseract is on Earth.
But what I'm saying is, why would the Tesseract give like?
Well, that's the part that gets kind of retconned, I think.
Yeah.
When they decide we don't want to just have Mar-Vell like touch Carol's hand and transfer power.
I mean, I love the scene, but like it just seems odd that like her power is is more of the Power Stone and not the Tesseract. So it's kind of like, well, how does that work?
I know, and who knows if they'll bring it in, but that's what I thought was so interesting about that Life of Captain Marvel miniseries, in that that coming out and Captain Marvel coming out definitely sets it up for, in Captain Marvel 2, she goes back and investigates her parents and realizes she was actually half Kree.
Oh, and got it.
That event was what traumatized her body to activate those powers.
Oh, okay. That makes,
because that's what happens in Life of Captain Marvel, the book. So that's why I thought like that's interesting. But there's no evidence that studios are going to do that.
But what if just follow me on this little journey? What if that was like, hey, for the real diehards who love to just, put have the room with all the different, the yarn connecting all the different things. And they're like, so what if for those people, we're going to intentionally foreshadow shit in the comics without ever deliberately saying that this is where we're headed. But, you always can be guaranteed that if a comic comes out during a movie, at least half of that comic storyline will appear in a future movie. Like, wouldn't that be just mind blowing?
I don't think it's that far off, because that's what, the Life of Captain Marvel was timed out. Like, this is a 5-issue miniseries, and issue 5 is going to come out like the week before the movie. Maybe it came out the month before, but
I'm going to even go one step further. Like, I honestly think the reason they're drawing the Fantastic Four the way they are, with Reed Richards and a gray beard and all that stuff, is that is what they're going to look like in the movie. That was predefined. And they're like, okay, we're going to bring back the comic and start to, but like the comic is going to be based on the visual guidebook for what we're going to eventually do when we get the movies going. Like it seems, if you're going to show run a movie franchise like a TV show, all the ancillary media, and let's be really clear, the original cinematic showrunner was George Lucas. So all that affiliate stuff, all that ancillary stuff did at one point, and granted, when Disney bought it, they just erased giant chunks of canon like Thanos. It's just, in one swoop, all this canon in the books and comics and stuff that was once true was just like, nope, that didn't count. And so there's like 2 divergent Star Wars universes now. But like for the longest time, all that ancillary stuff had to go through Lucas, either himself or his close team, to basically be approved. Like, yeah, this all fits in. And I wonder if it seems to be that like Feige plays a similar role with not just the movies, but the comics, the video games, any novelizations of anything. It all sort of has to fit together in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, they definitely do that. Like, novelizations, I think, are even more monetized than the novelizations are like, designed around the movie, I think, more so than the comics. But I think the comics are meant to feed into it, or at least get your imagination running. And, that's why a bunch of X-Men titles disappeared from Marvel publication around the last X-Men movies.
I still think, man, they have got to find a classy way to say, I mean, what you tell me, do you think that they would be ballsy enough to, at the end of Infinity War, have a Easter egg for X-Men, especially given that the newest X-Men movie comes out basically at the same time? It's the Fox X-Men, granted, but I feel like if they're going to do that, they're going to Easter egg either Galactus or the Fantastic Four or both, and not the X-Men for a good long while.
Yeah, and I don't know, but I wouldn't think X-Men, the Fox deal's not even closed, is it?
No, it's done. They officially own it. Yeah, no, last week.
Last week. So like, Yeah, that'd be pretty tight turnaround.
But they knew. I mean,
God, when does Infinity War come out? It's like next
end of
month.
April. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that's crazy.
But they knew. Okay, so I mean, an end credit sequence is what, 30 seconds. So the production of it doesn't have to be that long. They, especially given their hordes of people working on all their CGI and stuff, it wouldn't take much for there to be like a scene. Let's say Tony Stark lives, or they some technology is still tracking the universe for new threats. And there's something that suggests, almost like the Captain Marvel stinger at the end of Infinity War, something that stings like Galactus as like the next big bad, the next multi-arc big bad. Because that's the only way to really, if you're going to do the Fantastic Four, after Thanos, what's bigger? Like what's more pressing? I mean, Galactus is kind of like the only thing that has the widest possible audience. Now, like the widest audience knows about him. Next, it's not like some obscure ethereal being. The Eternals movie is coming, so they can dive more into his backstory there.
Yeah,
it's gonna get really. The MCU that we know and love is gonna be very different after April.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, I almost feel like the budgets are gonna have to reduce, because they're gonna have to go back to like telling super geeky stories to geeks.
Yeah.
And not trying to appeal to everyone. I mean, it's just going to happen, because it's just going to shatter it so much that it's like, oh my God. Like we were saying with Captain Marvel, now you've had to watch 20 movies in order to know, like, to kind of, it's getting to where you got to see them all. Like, they're all sequels. But I'll tell you something else. So on the same channel, Emergency Awesome, the reason I got to the Captain Marvel video is through, like, a friend had told me to watch it, but I'd also... a different friend had sent Emergency Awesome talking about and posting a short video of Zack Snyder asking questions about the Darkest Timeline. And he was explaining that in Superman, or whatever it's called, Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
So he and the writer, when they had the reins, like when DC trusted them, it was...
Oh, those were the days.
That was basically planned out as like, okay, so there's two scenes in it. Like there's one that's Flash coming in to Bruce's cave,
which we saw, which is in the movie.
Yeah. So you see it, and I don't remember.
I'm too soon.
Yeah, exactly. And does he say Lois Lane? Something about her?
No, he doesn't say her name. He goes like, don't let her die or something. It's something like, she's the key. No, she's the key. That's it.
Yeah. No, that's what he says. So then there's another scene, which is the nightmare scene, where Superman comes through the hallway and kills all the sons of the Batman, or sons of the Superman, or whatever. Superman comes back and kills all those people.
Yeah.
That was not a nightmare. That was a future vision.
Okay.
Of a different timeline. And it was when Darkseid had taken over the Earth and was victorious.
Which makes sense, because that Omega symbol is in the ground.
Yes. And they realized in the future version, so then there was going to be this scene in Justice League where the Justice League was going to be that dark timeline. It was going to be all this like apocalypse, and Superman was coming after Batman.
Yep. And
they realized in that timeline that Lois Lane was this key to this, and that when she died, when Darkseid killed her, that was the event that Superman blamed Batman for it, and then Superman was,
which is just like what happens in Injustice, only the Joker kills Lois, but it's the same idea.
Yeah. So then that's what drives Superman crazy. That's why he has this, anima against like Batman. And so there's a scene where Cyborg, Batman, and Flash in the future are trying to figure out how to fix it. And Flash and Cyborg have figured out this timeline, this way to jump back to the, there are these 2 points that they can jump back to try to fix this. Mm-hmm. And they say, we just don't know which one to try. And Batman says, well, if I were if I weren't here, which one would you have done? And Cyborg says the first one. And Batman says, well, you already tried that because I saw Flash in the past and it was too soon. So don't do that. So then basically they were still doing that script when Batman versus Superman came out. And then it did so badly, I guess, and the studio freaked out, and they were like, fuck, we are so far into this.
Yeah.
So basically the really short takeaway from that is there is no Zack Snyder cut.
Yeah.
There was a abandoned script And so then they took elements of it. So like, when Superman gets resurrected and he's angry at Batman, but there's no like motivation for it. There's not like, what was the animating event of that? Like, why is Superman so mad at Batman? Yeah. So they were just kind of like chopping up scenes and stuff and putting them into this like hodgepodge garbage movie. And it's like
the worst of all worlds. And like at that point, just let him get through with it on his own vision, and it'll either fail or die. But you're guaranteed failure if you try to do what they did, which is just kind of hodgepodge. Oh God.
I know. Or why not delay Justice League and like that? Yeah. Like why not say, okay, you know what? We're going to we could scrap everything that happened before and just bring in Joss Whedon and do a whole, do a whole reboot.
Barry Allen had a beard when his little robot suit thing opened and he was trying to be like, he's like, I'm too soon. He had a beard there. So it's like, the Flash that could have been 10 years in the future. It could have been a long time. They could have taken their time, built up to it correctly, figured out what worked and what didn't, keep that thread, basically alive. Yeah. Especially given that Wonder Woman really worked. Aquaman really worked. They could, if the Flash movie, if it ever gets done, might work.
I don't know. After that honest trailer, I thought Aquaman was a mess before, but seeing all the mess of it, like back to back was unreal. I've watched that so many times.
Let's actually jump in because I want to use that as one of our opening riffing topics. So let's just officially start the episode. Welcome to Panelism, the show where we talk about the comics and graphic novels.
Oh my God, I just lost you totally.
Oh damn it! Should we start again? Because it's happened to me twice now.
Do you know if that's you or me?
I don't know. Let me bail, and I'll come back. I'll come right back in.
Okay.
Welcome to Panelism, the show where we talk.
Podcast. It's podcast.
I know. Thank you. Mike, something's wrong already.